Hello everyone and welcome along to episode number 2 of the Squad Sprint season. We've arrived at the Hockenheim ring and this one should be a cracker. 19 laps ahead of us, I'm Ginger Andy, and joining me once again in the commentary box we have George Morgan. George, you looking forward to this one?
Oh, Andy, I cannot wait. We had such an explosive first race at Silverstone, and now we're here at Hockenheim. And I got to say, what a circuit to come to. It's going to be very, very special. Some long stretches and an incredible stadium section to go through as well.
Well, there's 8 races in the calendar. As you can see, Tom Martinez was the winner last time out. It's time for the eSport drivers to try and fight back as the content creator shocked the world of Squad Sprint. What an incredible performance it was from him last week. But can those eSports drivers fight back? Let's find out as we'll have a look at the starting grid. It's Niran Yusufu starting on pole for Team Quadrant with Arava alongside in second. Nathan Tate lines up third. Emily Jones is 4 for Alfa Romeo. 5th, it's Barry Burman with 6th, Simon Weigang. 7th on the grid, it's Alex Gillen for the All-Stars with Yashish Manohar out of position for Yas Heat. 9th is Louis Deletraz and Tomek Parancis rounds out the top 10.
Yes, the next slot of drivers now. P11, Ben Daly for McLaren Shadow. Teammates with James Baldwin. P12, Danny Moreno. P13 for Mercedes, Bono Huis. P14, P15, Jarno Otmeier. Hayden Gullis, P16. Maxime Byman in P17. P18 for Tom Martinez. 18, Yaroslav Honzik. P19, Eamon Murphy. P20.
Yes, well, there's been a lot of changes this week in the lineup. As you may have noticed, Simon Weigang moves from the All-Stars to Alfa Romeo for the rest of the season. Danny Beresney misses this race. Alex Gillen lines up in the All-Stars alongside Louis Deletraz with, of course, missing out Thibaut Courtois. Benjamin Daly is racing on the wheel this week. He's going to be way more competitive. He was on the pad last time out. And of course, as you notice, Yashish Manohar was out of position and has got a little bit of an advantage, George. But anything can happen in Squad Sprint, and it usually does.
No, you're quite right, Andy, and I've got to say, I can't wait for the start of this race. Nord Curve, very, very fast-paced turn 1, and of course you've got turns 2 and 3, Parabolica, sensational, and the stadium section.
Well, the cars lined up on the grid, and we are about to go racing for round number 2 in the Squad Sprint. We are away and go. It's a good start from Niran on pole position. Arava moving alongside immediately and taking the place away. Niran running wide, and look at that, Nathan Teague flying up into second place already. Barry Burman then behind that, but look at that, it's Nathan Teague sweeping through and up into the lead of this race as they make their way through the first sector. We're on board now with Emily Jones banging wheels at the minute, with Niran going down the back straight. Barry Burman flying at the minute then as they go heading down towards the braking zone, and it looks like Niran is going to hold on to that place as Yeshish Manohar dives up the inside and runs into the side of Arava, and it's absolute chaos behind that down at the hairpin, George.
Still on your outside, mate. I'm giving you loads of them. Oh, no. Yeah, cheers, man.
It's very busy on the outside.
Been tagged. Just keep it clean.
Oh, absolute chaos heading down towards the hairpin bend. Not ideal at all, but what a start by Nathan Tate. Spearheading the advancement from Team Quadrant. They had a great start, but it just seemed to all unravel. There's a Mercedes going wide there. The Alfa Romeo is really starting to come into their own here at the Alfa, and there's a slow Quadrant car there. A slow Quadrant car as we now watch the McLaren Shadow boys try to lay waste to that Mercedes car, that being Danny Moreno.
Yeah, look at that, really on a charge. That's James Baldwin flying at the early stages of this race. So we're about to start the second lap. As you said, Nathan Teague out in front with Yashish Manohar trying to use that advantage of starting higher up on the grid as best he can, as that was one of the Quadrant cars flying off. I think it was Arif flying off the road in the background, and that is not an ideal start for him. He's dropping all the way down to P16 here. What a shocker for Arif as we're on board now with Louis Deletraz lining up behind Ben Daly and going for the move then. Look at this, we've got real life racers against Formula 1 content creators. This is what we love to see in the Squad Sprint, and Deletraz going down the inside on Ben Daly. Has he got the move done in the braking zone? Inside, and he is just about through. Great stuff there between the pair, but Ben Daly is not giving this up. The Australian YouTuber Tate on a charge, fighting back down into the Mercedes grandstand, braking later. Can he squeeze him up onto the curb? He tries his best, but he cannot fight any longer, and Deletraz is up and through into 8th place, but still Daly fights it. He's going to try and go right round the outside on the entrance to the stadium section, but he can't make it through, and Deletraz holds on. Awesome stuff, George.
Oh, Benjamin Daly, sensational. He's returned to the wheel for this week of Squad Sprint and has dropped the controller. And I gotta say, you can notice a severe difference. He is absolutely phenomenal, laying, or at least trying to attack, Louis Deletraz, who is currently in P8 under a distinctive amount of pressure. There's an Alfa Romeo. That's Barry Burman, of course, and a very, very talented young man he is, of course, from Iran. And he's trying to let fly here at Yashish Manohar, who's currently in P2. The Yas Heat car owning that P2 spot, at least for now, as they rush round this next swinging left-hander, heading down the long stretch before they reach the next right. And indeed, Barry Burman taking a look down the inside. The Iranian tries to strike and does so prominently. But here comes Yashish Manohar. Can he make use of the straight line speed? They're going wheel to wheel, round towards the next right-hander. And certainly as they make their way down towards the Mercedes curb, and it is going to be Yashish Manohar holding on. A great staunch bit of defending and puts back Barry Burman into P3. Superb battling.
Oh, this is what Squad Sprint is all about. Awesome racing. We're only 3 laps in, and look at that running wide there. It's Manohar, and straight back through goes Barry Burman. The Iranian strikes back immediately. Absolutely epic driving between these pair. And look at this. A shock is on the cars. Nathan Tate racing away out front for Quadrant. They got no points, remember, in the opening race, but Nathan Tate has opened up a 2-second gap as everyone's busy squabbling. We're on board now with the Polish Eagle, and that is Tomek on a charge. He's down in P13 at the moment, lining up. That would be Alex Gillen in P12. That's next up on his radar. What a battle. What a start to the race here. 4 laps in, and we've had action aplenty, haven't we, George?
Oh, it's been brilliant. I mean, Quadrant are going to be delighted having Nathan Tate up at the top end, but just look at Tomek Perantic. Ever prominent is Tomek indeed. And of course has represented Veloce for a long, long time and dives down the inside for the McLaren Shadow team and does exceptionally well to try and force off that of Alex Gillen, who of course is joining us this week. But diving down the inside, Alex Gillen takes the inside line, but Tomek on the switchback. Sensational stuff. And that puts Alex in a little bit of a difficult situation, because here comes the Flying Dutchman. Jarno Watmir down the inside, picks him off. The Vultures were waiting, and he's pounced right at the last minute. The Flying Dutchman strikes again, and he's up to P13. What a bit of racing there.
Absolutely incredible. Well, that is what you call a rude awakening for Alex Gillen on his first outing in this season's Squad Sprint. Oh, goodness me, Alex Gillen, first week in the Squad Sprint, and you've got a lot of learning to do. And round and off goes, who was that? Was Eamon Murphy. Eamon Murphy off in a big, big way, spinning round and dropping down the order. Or was it Honzik? I'm not sure. It was maybe both of them, because they're both dropping down the order. But that was a terrible error there from one of the Yash Heat cars. Drama everywhere, and we're only 5 laps in to this 35% distance race. 5 laps out of 19 gone as James Baldwin, we're watching him now in P4 as we drop back now to Ben Daly, going side by side with Simon Vagang. Vagang trying to go round the outside of Ben Daly. Daly holds on well and just covers off any chance of a switchback, but there is Vagang now on the inside for the right-hander. Through turn 7 he goes, and he's up and ahead and into the place. Daly tries the outside line, but Vagang's got the job done. And here it is, home race. The German driver makes easy work of Benjamin Daly and is up into 9th place. Great driving there from Simon.
Yeah, absolutely exceptional. These first 5 laps have been absolutely exquisite, and that's exactly what we want to see here at the Veloce Squad Sprint. Each of these teams doing their very best, or should I say the drivers doing their absolute best for their respective teams. It's a team championship at the end of the day, folks, and you can now see Nathan Tate still on top, but there's Barry Burman, ever relentless, and he already has closed the gap down to just over 0.4 of a second, but they're coming around the next right-hander now. In behind, you got the Yas Heat car of Yashish Manohar, who is under pressure from James Baldwin, but here comes Barry Burman now as they make their way around the Parabolica bend. You can see it ahead there, Nathan Tate still trying to own that P1 spot, but surely the Alfa Romeo has got answers to this forever burning question. Barry Burman just clocking the rear end of that quad Quadrant car. No opportunity to strike just yet. He sort of rolled off the curb there, Andy. Just rolled off the curb, and that cost him a little bit of grip, but he is still closely in behind Nathan Tate. I'm sure the opportunity to strike will be very, very soon.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. Nathan Tate, he's had his fun out front. Now these guys have stopped squabbling. He's been reeled in. He's like the cork in a champagne bottle that's ready to explode because he's got so many fast cars behind him. Look at this. 5 different teams in the top 5 places. We said it's a team championship, and this is what we love to see as Baldwin dives down the inside of Yashish Manohar and up into 3rd place and into the podium places. And Manohar's lost it. He's off. He's into the gravel. It's almost like it's the 2019 German Grand Prix again. Only this time it's dry, and he's off at the final corner as Nathan Tate dives into the pits, and his run at the front is over. Let's see where he rejoins on the racetrack.
Yeah, we certainly will. Nathan Tate actually swapping the soft tyres for a set of hards. So he's done his soft stint. Of course, it's compulsory to take at least 1 set of softs during the race. So he is now going onto the hard tyre, now leaving the pit lane. I got to say, I had visions of Nico Hülkenberg there, watching Manohar go for a spin in that final sector there, Andy. But I got to say, not helping the situation for Yashish. That is 3 spins that we've seen in the last 7 laps, and that's going to drop them right down the field. So Burman now takes the initial lead. But look at James Baldwin now. I'm going to look down the inside, and sensational for the world's fastest gamer, but still Burman fighting back, and he's still got the pace. He is literally plugged in behind the McLaren Shadow car, literally laying a shadow to that McLaren car, dives down the inside, sensational, but Baldwin with a late brake cuts off the advancement, superb stuff, and holds on to that P1 spot. Burman leaving the fight of the day, a little bit of oversteer, nearly left himself in trouble, but they will battle, and this will continue, Andy.
Brave from Baldwin on the brakes. I absolutely loved that. Going into turn 8, he just stamped his authority and said, it's my corner, and he took the place as we go back to Nathan Tate, who's just come out the pits, remember, not in clean air. That's not what you want, and he's stuck behind Ben Daly, and this is going to cost him crucial time if he wants to make a major upset here today. We're 8 laps into this, but I've been very, very impressed by the Quadrant driver thus far. Remember, he's the Veloce general manager. He's not an esports driver, he's not a racer, but he's showing up very, very, very well. Incredible effort thus far as he tucks himself in behind Ben Daly and continues on his way. What a great start to this race, but it could become a little bit undone for Nathan if he gets stuck in all the traffic. Perhaps, with the benefit of hindsight, it might have been better staying out at the front and continuing on, but again, maybe he was thinking Barry was going to pass him, Baldwin was going to pass him, and he'd maybe have lost time that way. So it was kind of in a rock and a hard place as he now gets past Daly on the outside, gets it done. Benjamin Daly a little bit deep into the corner, but look at this, going down the straight. Benjamin Daly straight back into the slipstream, and he's going to power alongside and surely past as they go down into the braking zone for the hairpin of turn 6. Through he goes. Does Daly, but he's gone a little bit deep again, and straight back through goes Nathan Tate, and he should now be on his way up into 12th place.
Yeah, that late break has really cost Benjamin Daly now a couple of times. He's got to keep an eye on that, but indeed, Nathan Tate taking the opportunity. You can see that Quadrant rear wing there with Ben Daly in the distance. In behind him, you can see Jaroslav Honzik in the Yashish car, just literally tracking what's going on in front of him here. Barry Burman, who are now keeping an eye on, going for a spin outside the pit lane. That was so close, heading around the Nord curve. That's a very fast corner. It's opened the door for the Spaniard, the machine, Danny Moreno, to move up into P2. He's literally now approximately 1.8 seconds, now over 2 seconds away from James Baldwin, the world's fastest gamer, now owning the top spot. McLaren Shadow on P1. You have Mercedes P2, Alfa Romeo in P3, F1 teams galore in the top 3, all of them esports juggernauts as well, and I'd imagine we're going to be seeing some fireworks now as we head into the middle sector of lap 9 of 19.
Well, is someone going to order new underwear for Barry Burman, because that was a pretty big moment, and wow, I had to turn away from the screen there. Incredible as we go back to Simon Weigang now, going side by side and down the inside of Yashish Manohar, and he squeezes him up against the curb, and the German driver on home soil looks to be making an impression, and he does, and gets his way through, runs a little bit wide, but rejoins in front of Yashish Manohar. As look at that on the attack is Jarno Opmeer, and off goes Manohar, and Opmeer sails past him and up into 7th place. Well, that advantage that Manohar had of starting higher in the field is slowly disappearing. He's not been able to take advantage of it. He's dropping down from the field, and he's not having fun in that Yashish car at all. In fact, Yashish in general not having anywhere near as good a race as they had last time out, are they, George?
No, not at all. Certainly not in the frame to earn as much points as they did at Silverstone. Remember, they had a P2 and a P3 last time out. It doesn't look like this is going to be on the cards this time. Currently owning top spot, James Baldwin. Oh my word! A spinneroonie there tick, and that sends him certainly down the delta times in P9. Not handy at all, but Yashish Manohar now has clear air behind him. He can just focus on what's going on ahead, and that is, of course, Jarno Opmeer now trying to track Simon Weigang. And, of course, these two have had so many sensational battles in the past. Certainly, I've been very fortunate to call many of them, and I have to say they're ever charismatic as we're now watching them come around the next right-hander very soon into the stadium section. And Jarno Opmeer doing everything he can just to rain at least a little bit of brutality on the rear end of this Alfa Romeo as they come down towards the next fast right-hander. And as he does so, this Mercedes car, ever menacing. We see it in the top end, the higher echelons of Formula One, and I'm sure the Flying Dutchman will do just desserts to bring them back again as they come through the next few corners to begin their lap 11 of 19. It's still all to play for, Andy, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it takes us.
Yeah, what a race this has been. I tell you what, you know, some of us might have thought the first race was a damp squib. I mean, I think everyone loved it, but I mean, I think they're going to go wild for this one because this is absolutely incredible stuff we've seen so far in this race. We've barely had a moment's peace, George, and we watch Opmeer now get really close to the back of Simon Weigang. Maybe not the exit he was looking up for coming off of there, but this is a chance to see what the drag's like on these 2022 style cars, but it doesn't look like he's going to be close enough, and he's going to stay in 7th position at the moment. So lap 11 is Baldwin leading from Moreno second, Barry Buremans third, Bodo Huis is in 4th with Eamon Murphy in 5th and Simon Weigang in 6th with Opmeer 7th. And this is Nathan Tate, who of course made that very early pit stop earlier than anyone else and is now trying to fight his way through the pack. Let's see where everyone else rejoins in relation to him, because he was of course your race leader when he made that pit stop, but of course we don't think he's got the ultimate pace of the quick guys, so I don't expect him to be at the front, especially when he's been battling with the likes of Daly, and now it looks like he's going to be battling with Hayden Gullis, who has had a pretty quiet race so far, hasn't he, George?
We haven't seen much of him, to be honest, Andy, but here we do, and he's there in P10, and he's got Nathan Tate to worry about, certainly. Nathan Tate driving a superb race, I have to say. He's been absolutely brilliant, keeping that quadrant car right in tow. He's already made his stop, he's on the harder tyre, and he can now take it home, hopefully. If it all goes to plan, he can land himself some really handy points as they come down towards the Nord curve, of course, turn 1, and Hayden Gullis is very aware, I'm sure, of that very, very bright yellow and green quadrant car just zooming in behind him right now as they take the right-hander. And very shortly, heading into the Parabolica, and we've seen how effective the slipstream is, and here he comes already, Nathan Tate on the outside now, for Team Quadrant, as he tries to make a match here on the Veloce car of Hayden Gullis, now heading down towards turn 6, the hairpin bend, the Quadrant car eats him for breakfast. Superb stuff, great driving there from Nathan Tate, a superb race from him so far, overtakes Hayden Gullis. That's P10 for the Quadrant car.
I can't get over how good a race this is from Nathan Tate. Superb stuff, textbook as you like, passing Gullis and up into 10th place as we now see Eamon Murphy come into the pit stand for Yas Heat. So let's see where he will rejoin the action in relation to Nathan Tate. Will he be in front or will he be behind Nathan Tate? That'll be the first indication of how things are going for Nathan Tate. Manohar's in the pits as well, and as you can see, Tate is moving ahead of both of those cars up into 8th place now, ahead of all the Yas Heat cars at the minute is Nathan Tate. This is impressive as we now pick up Jarno Opmeer right up behind Simon Weigang, who defends to the inside. Down the outside goes Jarno Opmeer, and as he got the move done, as they reach the braking zone, he'll brake very, very late. He'll give Simon space on the inside, but as he swoop out of the corner, he's got so much more traction, so much more grip, and the Dutchman is through, the esports world champion, and up into 5th position. Great move, and through he goes.
Yeah, textbook from Jarno Opmeer indeed, and that is exactly what we've seen in the past when we've seen him out on track, and he absolutely does dispose of Simon Weigang, who is now down to P6. Jarno Opmeer now up into P5 and now chasing his teammate Bono Huis, so now we're seeing what looks to be James Baldwin coming into the pit lane, and he will indeed make a change as we now see him donning the soft tyres now. He's just boxed, taking the hards off, now onto the softs, and very quickly, nice stop indeed, and he's going to be making his way out of the pit lane. Danny Moreno now leads the way. Barry Buremans approximately 0.4 of a second in behind. Bono Huis now up into P3 as well. Opmeer P4. Mercedes sitting pretty. Ps 1, 3 and 4 there, Andy. Very impressive.
Things looking very good for Mercedes. As you can see, Baldwin, he's rejoined in 6th. That is not Nathan Tate, by the way, in front. That is the lapped car of Niren, I believe, in front So don't be confused. The timing screens are correct. Nathan Tate is 11 seconds behind. So Baldwin has made up ground and has jumped Nathan Tate in the pit stops, as you'd expect, as we now pick up Barry Burman and Moreno. The two of them. Oh, and Moreno's gone wide, and Burman sweeps in and goes through up into the lead of the race. Well, the Iranian flies past, and that was so easy. Mistake from Moreno, and he pounced immediately. The Persian takes no prisoners and moves through and into the lead of the race just before the pit stop phase. How soon are we away from the pit stops though? Let's see if any of these guys decide to come into the pits on this lap as they go round the final corner, and Moreno is in. So he's in, and he's had enough of those tyres. Let's see where he rejoins then in relation to Baldwin and Tate.
Yeah, you've got to take your opportunities when you can get them. And Burman, even though the Moreno was pitting, and it might have been a caused reason, or at least a just reason for Moreno to pit at that point, knowing that Burman swept past him. But you can now see we've got a different battle on our hands here. This is Baldwin, of course, who has already pitted, and he's now letting fly Simon Weigang, who shuts the door last minute there, tries to put Baldwin away, but he can't, at least for now, because here they come up towards the Parabolica, and here comes the world fastest gamer, James Baldwin, and he's got ahead of him Simon Weigang, the relentless German who we've seen tangle with the best of them in F1 Esports. They come down towards the hairpin bend now, and Baldwin just too good on that occasion. The tyres are really working for him now. Weigang down into P3, but Baldwin capping off an excellent performance yet again from this man. P2.
Great move from the McLaren Shadow man, and he leaves Simon Weigang chasing shadows. Great stuff from Baldwin, and he's looking good for the victory here. We're still waiting on Burman to make his pit stop. So Baldwin now in prime position for the victory here. Nathan Tate, by the way, he's ahead of Bono Huis and Jarno Opmeer after the pit stops. What a performance from the quadrant man. He's on for a great result. Let's just see how many points he can get as Burman is now in the pits. You can see in the top left hand corner of your screen, but we're watching Simon Weigang also peel into the pits. So that's both Alfa Romeos in for a pit stop with just 3 laps to go coming off those tyres. Let's see where they rejoin and who is now in second place.
Yeah, I can't help but feel here, Andy, that Baldwin has actually played his cards perfectly here. Moreno in P2, Burman in P3 is now out the pit bay. Burman on for a podium here today, but of course, the battle still rages on. Moreno is still in P2 as well. I can imagine that Burman is going to want to cross swords with the Spaniard, Danny Moreno, as they come down towards the Parabolica bend. But the story is here, at this moment in time, James Baldwin clear by approximately 5 seconds as they make their way down the stretch. As we now see Bono Huis trying to tangle with Nathan Tate. Here takes the inside line, and here comes Bono Huis, of course, Mercedes driver, and indeed just manages to capture that brilliant P5 spot after a very smooth move indeed on Nathan Tate. Smooth as you like there, Andy. Gets it done. Nathan Tate is now chasing.
Yeah, great stuff there, and Tate still battling away with Bono Huis. Look at this. He really is mixing it here with some of the top guns in esports as Nathan Tate. You know, he's got to be as a neutral watching the man you're behind here today. This is so impressive. But Bono Huis has just got that little bit too much pace. It's taken him 17 laps, but he is through and up into 5th place ahead of Nathan Tate. And now Nathan Tate's got the small matter of it's just an F1 Esports World Champion. That's all it is. And Jarno Opmeer behind him. Is there anyone on the track you wouldn't want behind you apart from him? I don't think so, as Nathan Tate is going to have his mirrors full of that Black Arrow Mercedes tucked right up behind him as they go through the first corner and down towards turn number 2 and 3. He's right up behind him as Jarno Opmeer. Is he going to dive for the inside here on Nathan Tate? It looks like it. Tate doesn't put up much resistance, and through goes Jarno Opmeer up into 6th place. What can Nathan Tate do in response? Can he stay in that slipstream and try and fight back? He's going to try everything he can as they go through the Parabolica and down towards turn number 6 at the hairpin. We move on now to Yashish Manohar, and he's side by side with Simon Weigang. He's going down the outside, cuts across and is through up into 9th place ahead of Simon Weigang.
Yeah, excellent move there by Yashish Manohar, but of course Simon Weigang's ever relentless as well. He might yet want to tag back there on the Yas Heat car as they come up towards the next right-hander indeed, turn 7, heading down towards Mercedes, and here comes Simon Weigang, having a little nose perhaps, takes the outside line, but no way through there, he says. Yashish shuts the door and actually builds a little bit of a delta gap in between him and Simon, approximately 0.6 of a second as they round the next quick right-hander now, down towards what will be the next left-hander. This is part of the stadium section. action. There's the Yassi car there, and literally loving life in P9, at least for the time being. You can see there's Simon Weigand's point of view there, where you can just see that Yassi car, the Richard Milley sponsorship, in behind on that rear wing, as you can now see them coming up. And what an exit that Simon Weigand got there as they head up towards the Nord curve, heading round turn 1. Who's bravest as they come round that corner now, down towards what will be turns 2 and 3. Weigand perhaps going for a late move. Not this time. Manohar leaves him frustrated, but maybe a chance through Parabolica, Andy.
Oh, Simon Weigand all over the road, pushing like mad to try and get that move done. He's now pulling out from behind Manohar. What a battle these two have had. He's now going side by side with him again. Oh, there's slight contact between them, banging wheels down the straight. But Simon Weigand at his home race has got the job done. Can he get it stopped? Yes, he can. And he's through and up into 9th place and relegates Manohar down into 10th as we pick up Bono Huis now on the charts to catch Eamon Murphy before the end of this Grand Prix. As I mentioned earlier, the Yassi cars 4th, 10th and 11th, and looking likely to relinquish their championship lead as things stand, as James Baldwin has started the final lap. So this looks like the best battle on track that's yet to be decided in the closing stages of this race.
Absolutely. Bono Huis, who we can now see trying to tag on what looks to be Eamon Murphy very, very soon. You can see that that's a Yassi car dead ahead, that of course being driven by Eamon Murphy as they come down this long stretch now, this semi-stretch indeed, into the next right-hander now. This is turns 2, 3 and soon 4, rounding that now into the Parabolica. So a great chance here for Bono Huis to gain himself another position and give Mercedes a potential 2 and a 4 if they can, as they make their way down the Parabolica. Here comes Bono Huis. That esports professionalism, that talent is going to come to great use here. Is he going to try the switch back? He certainly will. And going wide there, Eamon Murphy, and he lost a lot of traction. That's opened the door for Bono Huis. Absolutely sterling stuff there from the Mercedes man. Coming down towards the next left-hander. Maybe Eamon Murphy going for a late manoeuvre, but no, Bono keeps it behind him as they round the next right-hander. The Yassi car left down in P5. Bono Huis, great drive. But here's James Baldwin round the next right-hander. He's about to cross the line, and it's going to take victory here at Hockenheim. An incredible result there for the McLaren Shadow team. It's going to be Baldwin on top. Here comes Danny Moreno as well there in P2. He'll take P2. Barry Burman just snatches there. He gets P3 at the death. Bono Huis comes home in P4. But what a sensational race again, Andy. Baldwin on top.
P2. There we go.
Nice one. Some race that was. Nice recovery, Yano.
Yeah, another fantastic race. Let's take a look at the final results and classification. James Baldwin is the man on top. The esports guys have responded to the shock from Tom Martinez in the opening race. He gets the victory and the fastest lap point. For those who can see on the right hand side, he got the extra point for that as well. Danny Moreno in second with 18 points, and it's Barry Burmad that came home in third. Bono Huis, he was fourth with Jarno Opmeer in fifth. The Polish Eagle, Tomek Perezis, was sixth with Nathan Tate, a superb seventh. First points of the season for Quadrant. Simon Weigand ends his home race in 8th with Eamon Murphy down in 9th. Jaroslav Honzik rounds out the top 10 and the final points finisher. Let's take a look at the second half of the order. Louis Deletraz came home in 11th, no points for him. It was a bit of a honeymoon period over for Tom Martinez. He comes home in 12th, no points today after winning last time out. Yashish Manohar, he'll be disappointed with 13th. Could have been so much more, taking advantage of that high grid position, but it wasn't to be. Ben Daly was 14th. Alex Gillen came home 15th in his first race this season. Emily Jones was 16th for Alpha. Arav was 17th, nearing the last of the finishers. And Maxime Bymans and Hayden Gullis failed to see the flag. Let's take a look now, George, at the driver standings after 2 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. James Baldwin leading the Drivers' Championship. Sensational. 37 points to his name. Tom Martinez, after his victory at Silverstone, could not recapture the same form today, and it wasn't a great day for Veloce at all. Jarno Opmeer up into P3. Barry Burman P4 on 21 points. Eamon Murphy for Yassi P5. Danny Moreno for Mercedes as well, P6. Bono Huis for Mercedes P7. Jaroslav Honzik P8. Simon Weigand P9 on 12 points. Tomek Peradzik P10.
And let's look then at the team's standings. It's all change at the top of the standings. Tate have lost their lead. They've dropped down to 3rd in the standings, but it's Mercedes AMG Petronas Esports team. They moved to the top with 56 points. McLaren Shadow climbed to 2nd after James Baldwin's victory with 45 points. Tate, as I mentioned, down to 3rd with Alfa Romeo Racing in P4. It's 5th for Veloce Esports. They were 2nd. They did have 25 points before the day started. It's not been a good day. They stay on 25 points but drop to 5th. Then a big gap back to the All-Stars with 8 World Championship points. And Team Quadrant off the mark after 2 rounds after a superb performance from Nathan Tate. And well, that brings me on to talking about superb performances. George, who are you going to go for your driver of the day this week?
Oh, I'm a big fan of David and Goliath encounters here, certainly, Andy. And I have to say, Nathan Tate for me, he was absolutely incredible and did just what needed to be done for the Quadrant team. I think he deserves an awful lot of credit.
Yeah, I have to totally agree with you, George. I thought he was absolutely excellent, fighting tooth and nail with some of the top guys in the world of esports. That's what SquadSprint's all about, mixing in with so many different drivers from different backgrounds, and he really showed up well, and he is my driver of the day as well. But listen, folks, as I said before, it's not about what we think in the commentary box, it's about what you guys think. So let us know in the comment section below who your driver of the day is. And of course, head off over to the Veloce Esports Twitter account to cast your vote as well. We're always interested to hear in your opinions. And of course, keep letting us know, which team are you backing this season? Who are you supporting? But that's all from myself, Ginger Andy, and from George Morgan. Be sure to join us again next week at the same time, 1 PM on Thursday, for round 3 of the championship. Who will win in Turkey? Goodbye. We've arrived at the Hockenheim ring, and this one should be a cracker. Yes, Manohar turns up the inside and runs into the side of Arava, and it's absolute chaos. And Deletraz going down the inside on Ben Daly. Oh, this is what SquadSprint is all about. Awesome racing. He's now going side by side with them again. Oh, there's slight contact between them, banging wheels down the straight. James Baldwin is the man on top. The esports guys have responded to the shock from Tom Martinez.